Hey Internet, hey YouTube, this is Nate. You can also call me Nathan, please never call me Nathaniel, and welcome to episode 2 of PaliaWatch. What I wanted to do today is go through on the Discord channel for Palia. You can see the description of that channel in the description of the YouTube video. The devs regularly do a kind of question and answer with the community. And what I thought I would do is go through, they've been doing this since the first announcement back in June, and I want to go through some of the questions they've already answered, and we'll do them in kind of blocks. The other reason I want to go through this is to also let you know that they are requesting more questions to be answered. So if you're interested in the game and you want to ask the devs a question about the game, they have currently opened up submissions for questions. And that will be available until end of August. I think they specifically said August 29th. So, or maybe it's Tuesday next week, whatever Tuesday next week is. Maybe it's the 31st. So if you want to get in and ask a question, now's the time to do it. Again, link to that Discord is in the description of this video. But let's switch over and jump into, not this. This is my music, by the way. We're going to jump into Discord. And let's talk about some of the questions that were asked. So very first, what is a pre-alpha? If you're not aware what a pre-alpha is, I think they give a really good explanation. It's a fully playable experience that has many of the initial launch features, but not all of them. It is also going to be under NDA, so there will be no public streams available. The pre-alpha is not yet the cozy experience of your dreams. The plan when you enter the world at launch. The main goal is testing and feedback. So basically, when you do development, there's different candidates of things you can do. One thing that companies often do is what's called a vertical slice. So a vertical slice is when you have all the functions that you want to be able to do. So if you're making a shooter, for example, you have combat, you have weapon switching, you have the different weapons, you make a slice of like the content, but it's only for like one level or something like that. I don't think that's what they're did here. I think instead more they're creating a lot of the content and they're slowly going to be adding in functions over time into the pre-alpha. That's just my guess based on what I've read so far of the take. And so the pre-alpha is actually, it's not a stable build. Oftentimes you're going to find lots of bugs. A lot of things are going to be missing. There's going to be a lot of placeholder art, placeholder animations, placeholder dialogue, while they continue to add and streamline the content. Will thousands or hundreds be let into the pre-alpha? They said they were going to invite 1,400 people from the player community. I mentioned this last time in the first episode. They initially expected kind of a few thousand people to join. Ended up being closer to 100,000 people that signed up to be part of the pre-alpha. So definitely not everybody's going to be in the pre-alpha that wants to. It's going to be a very limited number. And it's going to be primarily focused on, I think in some part, people that are active in the community, and as well people that are going to be giving a lot of good feedback. So the pre-alpha is not intended to be like you jump in and get to have fun. It's more like you're going to be taking your time to give feedback, tell them what's good, what's bad, what's working, what's not working, and where you would like to see the game go from a player perspective. But they did mention they will have many more tests leading up to launch. So normally you have a pre-alpha, an alpha, a closed beta, an open beta, and then a go live. That's the standard what you see in a lot of game developments these days. So we're still pre-alpha, very, very early. Very likely that the devs will give more announcements as they get closer to more of like the broad access things like a full alpha test or closed and open betas. Is there an estimated date when the pre-alpha keys will be emailed out? Actually, this one's already late. They've been emailed out. So the first waves, there have been 2 waves so far of pre-alpha. Those have both already been launched since June. So the 1,400 people they mentioned there already received access. I think they may have changed the numbers, but the 2 first major early alpha waves have already gone out. Will account progress be reset later? And the answer is all pre-alpha. And honestly, I would expect all the way through maybe open beta probably will get reset. I don't think any of that gets maintained. That's pretty typical. So like if you played any games as an early access, oftentimes you have the experience that when it goes live, you lose a lot of the content that you did or the progress that you made. And I think that's fine, especially in a game that's intended to be a massively multiplayer game. I think it's completely fair that your progress gets reset when you're moving from pre-alpha, even closed open beta until the live. What is expected of testers? So testers should expect to do lots of bugs, unpolished features. I mentioned this before. It's pre-alpha. There's going to be a lot of bugs and lack of content or even placeholder content. We want our testers to be very vocal with their feedback, and there will be some exclusive Discord channels on the server they'll get to join. Whether the testers disliked or liked something, we want to know there are plenty of choices for us to make changes based on what the players express. What about monetization? I think this is often a common question that comes up when you're talking about MMORPGs, or in this case, massively multiplayer online simulator, is that how are they going to monetize? Is it going to be like you buy the base game, there's a subscription? Is it free to play with a subscription? Or I guess it wouldn't be free to play. Is it just a subscription? Is it like free to play with like in-game purchases? This is all things that we've seen. It's yet to be seen how their model is going to look. Personally, I think buy once and then maybe have in-game purchases would be my preference, but I can also understand buy once and subscription. And if the game's good enough, I would do it. It really depends on the quality of the game and what is the cost. But I mean, I played Final Fantasy XIV for a long time. I've done some others in the past. So certainly and I think many people, we know millions of people have forked out subscriptions over the years. So we'll have to see what they end up going with. But there's a lot of different models that you see with different massively multiplayer games these days. Notice that you are being compelled to add some PvP comment. This is actually something that was really interesting. I want to highlight this question because I actually really liked it a lot. So is there going to be PvP elements in competitive play? What they said is, it's been a notable point of confusion in the community, so I have to point out to address it. Your initial impression is correct. So the initial impression is that there's a fan narrative. Oh, sorry. These elements will be present but not in the alpha, and that's correct. There's nothing in the alpha that's going to be player versus player. But let's read the whole thing. So first off, the core vision and target audience for Palia centers around creating a collaborative, cozy, and safe multiplayer experience. An inherent part of providing that safety is that players know that they exist in a world largely devoid of physical, social, and emotional threats. As such, we feel that player versus player combat is antithetical to our core experiential goals. Additionally, this is an area that many great games we love have invested in deeply, and since it's not our core, we're unlikely to produce an experience that measures up to player expectations were we to divert our focus into this area as well. Having said that, we do believe that there are some competitive play opportunities that can make sense in our world, in large part because of the kind of lighthearted competitive experiences that we find amongst close families or amongst family and close friends. A card game, racing on the beach, and so on. Additionally, many of our core systems ladder up quite naturally into an option for a little competitive play. So like cooking competitions or interior design skills. And I actually like this a lot. I think it's good from the very beginning to establish what type of experience they want out of the game. And if their experience that they want is more of a social, even like, think like Animal Crossing, there's not a lot of pressure in Animal Crossing to do anything. It's more like at your pace, out how you want. And if that's the kind of vibe they're going for, I think that going all in on that vibe makes a lot more sense than trying to just kind of like shoehorn in what people want in terms of player versus player. I don't necessarily think that player versus player content makes a good massively multiplayer game. I think there's a lot of good experiences you can have through community-oriented stuff that's, not competitive in nature even. So I like this. I think it opens up possibilities for a brand new massively multiplayer experience, and I'm personally excited to see how they're going to take this player-player interaction, not player v player, but player-player interaction with their game. About gathering resources, will the object disappear after being gathered so that you actually have to camp the spot? This is, if you've played a game like RuneScape or or even like World of Warcraft, often there was this problem of like spawn camping resources and spawn camping enemies. I think this is a valid question. Their response, the goal is to make it a multiplayer environment a collaborative one. A major part of this is how we address the various loot systems in the game that would otherwise turn into a source of tension in competitive play. We have a wide variety of solutions we're continuously testing in this area, and upcoming playtests will help us assess whether we're hitting these goals and where we need to additional work. So no real firm answer on how they're going to address it, but it does seem like it's one of the things that they're considering. And if we consider the last answer, where their vibe is more about collaboration than it is about competitiveness, it makes sense that this is going to be a really fundamental thing that they address, is how do they manage the loot system so it doesn't become competitive or frustrating in nature. So again, very curious to see how they handle it. I think there's a lot of good ways I've seen it handled in other games. Even like Diablo has a pretty good system where everyone kind of has their own loot and you don't really interact so much or overlap, but we'll have to see how they end up handling it. Will we need to eat, drink, or sleep? These activities are not strictly required, but they will have a variety of benefits in the game that make engaging in professions like cooking have real worth. From an incentives perspective, these systems are oriented around having strong benefits for engaging them rather than strong penalties for not. To be fair, not having a buff is a kind of penalty, so it's, I don't know. It's still kind of a penalty if you don't engage in them. But I think the idea is to say, like, it's not like you will die if you don't eat, you'll die if you don't drink. It's more, if you want to engage in these systems, then there's benefits for doing so. And bonus question is, what games do they like? I mean, we can look at the list of developers. So what is the one game they would play to relax? We see a lot of varieties here. We have Slay the Spire Hades. So that's more like what my content is around, these kind of roguelites. Destiny, Overwatch, World of Warcraft, Hades again, Stardew Valley, Diablo 3, Super Mario Galaxy, Mario Kart 8, Elite Dangerous, Minecraft. So a lot of different favorite games out of the group. But yeah, that's the question answer section I wanted today. I know it's short. We're only going through the first set. There's a lot more you can check out on the Discord. And again, if you're interested in getting your question out there, you have until Tuesday to do so. And the devs will then go through all the questions and decide on which ones they want to answer. Probably looking at upvotes and things like that as well. So with that, hope you guys enjoyed episode 2 of PaliaWatch. We'll continue to get out episodes at least once a week, maybe more frequently. And if you like this kind of content and want to keep watching, subscribe. It's the easiest way to get notified whenever I put out a new video. And I will have a PaliaWatch playlist, so if you missed an episode, you can always go back and rewatch it later. And with that, this has been Nate. You can also call me Nathan. Please never call me Nathaniel, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.